All right, y'all, Rick's Smiley Morning Show. Listen, y'all know it's been 4 months, and we are still waiting for the arrest of the white police officers who broke into Breonna Taylor's Louisville apartment and killed her, shot her down 8 times, shot her down like her life didn't matter. In the meantime, 87 peaceful protesters, they were arrested on felony charges after a sit-in on the lawn of Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron. So please help me welcome to the show federal civil rights attorney Lee Merritt, and he has worked with the families of Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and Botham Jean. Is now in Louisville representing some of Tuesday's protesters. Good morning, Mr. Lee.
Good morning, brother. How are you?
Hey, man, I'm good, man. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, man. Thank you for always jumping on with us. Now, we understand that it took more than 24 hours for all of the protesters to be released from jail. Like, why is that? Is that because they were in the system? And then what happens next?
It seemed to me that the authorities, particularly the mayor's office, the police department, who were responsible for processing the demonstrators out, purposely drugged their feet. There was no reason for people to be in there for 24 hours, especially when I know that the judge had actually signed a release for most of the protesters to be released on their own reconnaissance the night before. And so, obviously, even with the felony charges, they were playing some politics there to try to intimidate righteous protesters.
Yeah, speaking of the felony.
Go ahead.
Speaking of the felony charges, how did we get there? Usually, like you said, they're let out on their own recognizance. So for them to get their charges upgraded to a felony, how did that happen, and what does that mean?
Well, I believe what you see in this nepotism. Daniel Cameron is the lead law enforcement officer. He's the top cop in Kentucky. Now, he claims that some other cops came up with this idea, but I've never seen protesters be charged with a felony for peaceful protesting. In fact, just 2 days prior, the other folks, the Second Amenders and the people who want to strip women of their rights were protesting in front of the governor's mansion. And they hung an effigy of the governor in front of his home. And nobody was even cited with anything, let alone a felony. And so, we see what's happening here, but they want to play dumb.
Yeah. And go ahead.
I'm sorry. Tamika Mallory is the co-founder of the organization Until Freedom, who organized the protest. Now, can you explain how they organized bailing everybody out? That had to be tough.
Yeah, so Tamika Mallory put together an excellent team of volunteers. Until Freedom is a group that plans not only this action, but plans further actions at that same location in the future. And so it's clear, number one, that they're trying to intimidate Ms. Mallory out of that. However, Ms. Mallory works with my group. I'm the legal director for a program called the Grassroots Law Project, and we just provide support to people like Ms. Tamika Mallory. We bring our attorneys, we bring legal observers, we record the incident, and so everyone now knows that there was no felonies that took place at Mr. Cameron's home. And then our attorneys worked through the night. We knew everybody who went in there. We had them all down by name. We planned for them to be arrested because we know that this criminal justice system only knows brutalization and incarceration. So we anticipated that. And so the only thing that caught us honestly off guard were the felony charges, but we don't put anything beyond the system.
Do that go to a jury trial?
It hypothetically would. I think they're smart enough to drop the charges because we have better attorneys than they do.
Yes.
And so if they want to take it to trial and clog up their legal system even further, that's already clogged due to the coronavirus and, the so-called war on drugs, then we can, but we win the trials and they look ridiculous. I think that they are setting themselves up for a claim of prosecutorial misconduct because you can't just simply charge people with felonies in order to stop their free speech or to intimidate them.
Brother Mary, when is this Attorney General and anybody that is responsible for not arresting those officers, how many people are elected officials, and when are they going to be on this election cycle, or he has 2 more years in office?
Daniel Cameron has about 4 more years. He assumed office. That's the Attorney General for Kentucky. He assumed office in December of 2019. He took over this case in May. So the people of Kentucky elect this specific person as again, the person responsible for enforcing the law. I suspect, honestly, to tell you the truth, I suspect that he's going to bring charges in this case. He's going to need constant reminding about how the law works. He doesn't seem like to be the sharpest tool in the shed. For example, he's a Trump supporter, so if that might tell you as much as you need to know about him.
Okay,
but yeah.
Lee, if you were the Attorney General, what would you charge? And from what you have, from what you know, and what you see, what would you have charged?
Well, what you saw here was a botched, mission in the war on drugs. So you had people who manufactured information in order to get a false warrant. They should be charged with any number of felonies, including perjury for lying on the affidavit that created this dangerous situation. But the men who pulled the trigger are still responsible. They have the responsibility of executing this warrant in a way that would preserve life. If they went in there recklessly, based on, sort of half-cocked based on false information that they never bothered to confirm. And so those men should be charged with some form of homicide. It could be second degree, it could be third degree. The truth is that's going to change in Kentucky versus, where I practice in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. But that's certainly something that the AG should be considering. What form of homicide does each person who was involved in this murder should be facing?
So, Attorney Merritt, with all this being said, how can we help?
Right now, I think it's keeping pressure on the elected officials. I think we should be showing back up to that neighborhood, to his office, hounding him to do his job. That's how democracy works. We have the right to petition our elected officials. So the people of Kentucky, with the support of everyone around the world, should continue to remind Daniel Cameron to do his job. They should call for his removal or for his resignation if he refuses to do it, because this is the absolute height of his responsibility. An EMT worker was murdered during a pandemic. And so we demand justice right now. If you can't do it, get out of the way and find someone else who can. The people also petitioning the Department of Justice, which is the federal oversight for when.
Yeah, they ain't gonna do nothing.
Well, you could say they ain't gonna do nothing, but they are doing something in Ahmaud Arbery's case. There's 3 arrests in Ahmaud Arbery's case that was directed by the FBI, and so. I'm going to go to whoever we can get results from. If they fail to do their job, then we're going to hold them accountable as well.
Hey, Lee Merritt, anything I can do to help you, and whenever you need to jump on to talk about whatever, and wherever we need to be, whatever we need to do, whatever you need personally, you and Tamika, y'all call us. We here. That's what we here. We're going to use this platform to keep attention on this case.
I fully appreciate it. And this is exactly what we need right here. It's pressure season. So we just need to keep the pressure on. Your show is listened to, nationally syndicated, listened to around the world, and people need to understand the facts. They need to engage in the details and figure out how they can get involved. If you want to get involved in our efforts, you go to grassrootslaw.org. I encourage you to follow Tamika Mallory, Until Freedom, if you want to be an active protester, because we're going, unfortunately, Breonna Taylor is just one of many, many, many people unjustifiably killed by the police around the country, and we're fighting. This is the season where we're fighting back against all of that and demanding a different country.
Hey, man, ladies and gentlemen, Attorney Lee Merritt, man, thank you so much for your hard work in our communities, man. We appreciate you taking the time to join us, and please keep us updated, man. Thank you so much. Hey, Lee, hold on. I got to get your number.
Okay.
All right, y'all. Ladies and gentlemen, Lee Merritt, y'all. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. More Rick's About the Morning Show coming up.